Hello everyone, it's the verdict, the live election coverage of every activity concerning these elections right here on Channels Television. Your news leader, we're proud to say that you can't get any more robust coverage than you can get here on Channels Television. Now, we listened to the INEC chairman a short while ago, and we've been trying to analyze what he said. But let's look at some collation centers and some of the reports we're getting, since the theme of the show is to look at the collation that's coming in from every part of the country. So we do have reports of mild drama at some collation centers where results are being put together. For Taraba State, party agents and journalists were seen waiting at the collation center in Jalingo for the collation of presidential and National Assembly results. We're talking about Taraba State now. So far, results from 7 out of the 10 wards of Jalingo local government area have arrived, as you can see there. Let's move on to Nasarawa State, and the situation at the Abacha Youth Collation Center in Lafia turned a bit rowdy, as you can see there, as agents of political parties accused another agent of taking photographs of the ballot papers while pretending to be helping INEC officials. Let's listen in.
This must not be doing anything.
So you see collation there taking a different sort of turn. And we can move on to Jigawa State. Let's look at 4 wards in Gwaram, local government area of that state, while they trooped out to exercise their civic responsibility. Well, elections could not hold in 4 wards on Saturday, that's yesterday, due to the malfunctioning of the card readers. Eligible voters trooped out as early as 7 a.m. and they formed really long queues in the area. Our correspondent reports that the process has been peaceful and that the electorate is not in any way affected by the delay they experienced. Now let's come back here to Lagos and give you an update of what's happening here. Now we have this video from an eyewitness in Okota area of Lagos State. In this video, yet to be identified persons are seen picking and throwing ballot boxes open, thereby lifting ballot papers out of it into the gutter. Okota has been a flashpoint of this year's election, with various complaints of ballot box papers being burnt and electorates intimidated. These are the sort of pictures that are coming into us, and we'll have to show them to you to give you a bit of an idea of what's going on the streets. And we can now head off to Bini, the Edo State capital. On the situation there, we have Ike Frank Moore, and he'll tell us what's happening there. Ike Frank.
This is the INEC headquarters in Edo State, the venue for the announcement of the 2019 presidential election results across the 18 local government areas of Edo State. At the moment, we have heavy presence of security personnel, but we are yet to see the election materials, and even the INEC officials are yet to resume work. Collation is expected to take place as soon as the materials arrive, and of course the results will be announced much later. So for now, it's a waiting game for everyone involved. Ike Frank Moore, Channel Television.
From Edo, we had Nasarawa, we had Jigawa, and we also had the other state we looked at, which was Taraba yes. as well. Yeah. Your thoughts?
Okay, so...
perhaps you should tell us about her thoughts.
Yes, you've heard from our reporters there what's going on in Taraba, and then Ike Frank Moore, who is at the INEC headquarters in Edo State. From what you've seen, what are your thoughts?
On a side talk now, I mean, I saw in the Edo State picture, mobile policemen were actually in a truck. So I see that we actually can also apply a bit of more, sanity by having mobile policemen do carry guns. But Madame Jacqueline in Abuja, I would say that we have to be very careful when we say our policemen should be armed with guns. We do have human rights and civil rights, you know, that when we do these things. And I would rather we look at how we can self-defense. In a case where we have teasers, there's something called a teaser that we could use on people like that, thugs and hoodlums. We also have the use of tear gas. I know when we have riots, there's a bit of, you know, use of tear gas to get rid of violence in a way. So I would recommend that when we're trying to make amends, especially towards the March 9th elections, that we have this sort of things put in place by the INEC.
So you mean they shouldn't use live ammunition? Is that what you mean?
I think live ammunition could cause a lot of people a scare. And then what happens to the crazy, I'm sorry to use the word, the trigger-happy policeman that shoots the thugs? We also are going to have dead bodies on our hands.
Supposing the thugs are armed.
Well,
in this Okota case, they weren't. They didn't appear to be.
You know,
but supposing
if
they
were,
are,
then it will be self-defense if he pulls the trigger. So even if they're going to have guns, it has to be properly applied. Maybe the mobile policemen, maybe just instead of just having the policemen, we should now have also mobile policemen in the flashpoint areas.
I think his point is that perhaps what if the thugs are more heavily armed than the policemen that just have teasers?
Then
what if they have more?
I think it should move to to mobile policemen. The mobile policemen, we all know, are normally armed, and they are, I believe, better trained with ammunition.
But in this case now, like when the policeman was running about chasing one policeman, chasing about six men. Is it possible that the mobile policemen they're supposed to be patrolling, and that's what the IG said? There's a patrol team that's armed. The ones in the polling unit are not armed. So how is it? What if those guys had just gone past, maybe to another polling unit before this happened?
It still falls back on better process, you know, putting things in place. Because if we have mobile policemen that are supposed to be manning and moving around each of those polling units, what they should have seen is that this was happening. They should have come to the aid of that particular unit, you know, and then apply force if there was a gun in use. I just feel we have to be very careful with the use of guns. I mean, you know what guns can do. Even in other countries, we've had a lot of misuse of guns.
There are people who would argue. There are people who would argue that the military has no role to play in elections. But obviously, from what we've seen yesterday, they appear to have some kind of role, whether official or unofficial. Because in a state like Rivers, and I'm coming to you now, Mr. Oluwade, in our Abuja studios. In a state like Rivers, the military already has a role to play because there's a joint task force in Rivers State. There is a joint task force in a number of states already, which involves military personnel and who are involved in security. Now, what we were told for this election is that they will be at the perimeters of the operational area. That is, they won't be seen in the process of the operation. But as we saw in Rivers, they were brought in, or they had to be brought in, whichever one it is. The point being that, how do you make the balance that Jacqueline referred to earlier? How do you make the balance of not too much visibility as to scare voters and not too little visibility as to embolden thugs?
Yeah, thank you, Ladi. I listened to both the IG of police, the INEC chairman, prior to yesterday's voting process, and they had explained, you know, where the policemen, the military would be stationed. You know, the ones that will be at the voting venues, the polling units, will be unarmed, and there will be about 3 of them. You know, so the clip, you know, you've been showing, I'm at a loss why there is only one unarmed policeman, because I think if they were the full complement of 3 personnel, probably they would have been able to serve as enough deterrence to those hoodlums, and probably even call, you know, for backup so that they could swiftly, you know, put the situation under control. And then, of course, they also said the ones that will be armed, both military and police, will be not too far, you know, from the polling unit. You know, so the question needs to be asked as to where were they when all these guys had enough time to do what they were doing. But also that also brings me to another issue, which is the desperation, by politicians, for political offices, because these hoodlums, somebody recruited them, somebody asked them to do what they were doing. I mean, a thug who is not standing for elections will not have any reason, any justifiable reason, to go, pick up a ballot box, burn them up, go to Oriade, in some local government area, set the place on fire, shoot people, because they were shooting between thugs and other set of thugs too, So the desperation, by politicians, for political offices, leads to recruitment of thugs, and giving them money. So, I mean, even in the primaries, because this also speaks to the way we conduct our politics, the way we run political parties. In some of the campaigns, we saw in some places where, party supporters, were pelting party hierarchy, including the number one person, with stones, the governor and all the party bigwigs, with stones. So this is a carryover into election day. And my worry, and I agree with my colleague in Lagos, is that, I mean, we should be very careful with the way we use live ammunition, And I agree entirely with her. There are better, advanced methods, of controlling or deterring, would-be thugs who would want to disrupt election process. Of course, there would be some who are die-hard, that you would need to be heavy-handed, but, I mean, like she said, and I agree, I mean, taser, even criminals use tasers, to deal with criminals. And then, of course, water hose, and so many, I mean, tear gas, that's something that could come in, easily, handy in this kind of situation, But I'm just worried, because the number of lives lost yesterday, needlessly, gives me cause for concern, because elections are meant to be a festival, kind of, People are meant to be, the mood, yeah, even though it's a game, I mean, people don't kill each other in a game when it's not a blood sport, So I'm worried, that our elections are being tainted, with blood, people dying, and then it leaves a sour taste in the mouth. The victory, whoever imagines, a victor, the victory seems pyrrhic, almost, to some extent.
Mr. Lade, if I may come in here, let's talk a bit about the policemen, the personnel themselves. Besides equipping them, whether with arms or tasers, or tear gas, as the case may be, there are those who are concerned about their psychology, their mental capacity, even as they go into the elections. How prepared are they in terms of, you see that policeman who's running up, and he looked like he didn't know what to do. He was torn between 6 young men who were carrying ballot boxes here and there. How was he supposed to stand? A man who is a representative of the authority of the land, running back and forth. How do we get our policemen back in shape psychologically, even before elections?
I mean, like I said earlier, there were meant to be 3 of them at every polling unit. That's what I heard.
So it's possible that
the last briefing on Friday.
And so you don't have...
the last briefing with the IG and
you don't know that.
Okay.
So they were meant to be 3, and then they were meant to be back up, not too far from the polling unit. So, assuming even the other 2 ran away, let's assume that's the case. Where is the backup? The backup ought to be not too far from the polling unit, so that they could come in easily, and arrest the situation without degenerating into... I mean, we must be glad that these hoodlums did not attack, physically attack, I mean, the policeman, because we would have been saying something else. Because
Let me put you on pause, Mr. Olwade, and ask Jacqueline Iketonya. You're going to have the last word, and you have 30 seconds to make your response, because we've got to wind up this segment at this point. Jacqueline. I said, Jacqueline, you're going to have the last point. You're going to have the last 30 seconds to wind up this segment.
Okay, basically, I still believe, because you see, these security personnel, they are human beings too. So, like I said, we need to strike a balance. Let INEC, from going forward, identify the flashpoints where we will need armed security personnel. Yes, they may not have to shoot to kill, but of course, there's also the need for proper orientation of the armed, of the policemen, I mean, working on their psychology and all that, and also their welfare. But I'm telling you that if you position unarmed personnel with thugs, some of who also are carrying very sophisticated equipment, what do you expect those security men to do? Submit themselves to be shot to death by those thugs? So we must strike a balance.
Thank you very much.
I mean,
thank you very much.
Yes, shooting
thank you very
carelessly.
much.
But
we'd like to thank our guests on this segment, Lady Taiwo Adejimo with us here in Lagos, Mr. Wale Oluwade in Abuja, alongside Jacqueline Iketonye as well in our Abuja studios. We'll be taking a break on the verdict at this point. You know, being the news leader means that we have to keep you updated both from here and from our news studios, and that's where we'll be going. Very, very seriously. So we'll be updating you on the news as well as what's going on online. That will be on Polstream, which comes up after the news. So please stay with us. We'll be back.